Every night when the sky turned dark purple and the stars slowly appeared, Jonas locked the clinic gates and walked back to his small room near the food storage shed. He had worked all day, treating small injuries, handing out supplies, and checking records. Life on the alien border planet Threxia 9 was tough, dusty, and full of silence. But something strange was happening. Every night, Jonas noticed that a food pack was missing, just one. Not the big ones, not the expensive ones, only a small box of warm meals carefully sealed. It was always the same one, placed near the back wall. At first, he thought it was a staff mistake. Then he thought maybe a hungry worker took it, but nobody ever admitted it. He checked the security camera. Nothing. Just static during the exact time the food disappeared. For 5 nights in a row it was the same. Jonas decided to test something. That evening he placed a meal near the wall again, but this time he added a small toy beside it. Just a soft rubber ball from the children's box. He returned the next morning. The food was gone, but the toy was still there. That night Jonas didn't go inside. He stayed hidden behind a parked supply cart, eyes on the food pack. Hours passed. Wind blew dust across the ground. Lights flickered. Jonas started to feel cold and tired. But just when he thought nothing would happen, a shadow moved. Soft, light, almost floating. A small figure came closer, stepping carefully like she had done this many times. She wore a long, dark cloak that covered her entire body, even her face. She looked left, then right. Then she bent down, gently picked up the food pack and turned to leave. Jonas stood up slowly. "Wait," he said gently. The figure froze. She didn't run. She didn't scream. She just stood there, silent, still. Jonas took a step forward. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said, voice calm. The figure turned slowly. Under the cloak, 2 bright purple eyes stared at him, alien eyes glowing softly in the dark. She said nothing. Jonas saw her hands trembling, holding the food tight to her chest. Her skin was pale blue and her arms looked thin, too thin. He raised his hands. "It's okay. I just want to talk." Still no answer. Then to his surprise, the girl gave a small bow. Not deep, just a little nod of respect. Then she ran, fast like wind. Jonas didn't follow. He stood there for a while, heart beating fast. The girl had been taking food, but never more than 1 pack, never anything else. And now he had seen her. He returned to the clinic and sat down. Something wasn't right. She looked too young to be alone, too quiet to be a thief. So the next night, Jonas did something different. He packed another food box. This time he added a small note inside, just a simple message written in basic alien script. "If you need help, just ask. I'm a doctor." He placed it near the wall again and waited till morning. When he returned, the food pack was gone, but the note was back. It lay on the ground, slightly crumpled and wet with drops, not rain, tears. Jonas picked up the note slowly. His heart ached. "She's not just hungry," he whispered. "She's scared." He looked toward the hills beyond the clinic where the wild zone began, where no humans lived. Who is she? He wondered aloud. And why is she crying? He didn't know it yet, but that simple act of kindness, that one note, had already changed everything. Because somewhere in the dark wilds, the alien girl sat beside a weak, coughing woman, holding the warm food in her lap. She looked at the human's note again and whispered with shaking breath, "Mama, maybe he's different." Jonas couldn't sleep. The image of the alien girl's eyes haunted him. They weren't just scared. They were carrying pain, the kind that doesn't go away with food. The next evening, Jonas prepared another food pack. This time he wrapped it gently in a clean blanket and placed it on a bench instead of the ground. He didn't hide. He sat nearby, reading a tablet under a dim light, pretending not to watch. Hours passed. Cold wind brushed through the empty clinic yard. Silence stretched thick. Then at midnight she came again. Quiet as ever, the girl moved like a ghost, her hood covering her head. But she paused when she saw Jonas sitting there. He didn't speak. He just kept his eyes on the screen, acting like he hadn't noticed her. She took a slow step forward. Then another. Her hands reached out and touched the blanket. She froze, then turned slightly toward Jonas. He looked up and smiled softly. "It's clean and warm. For you, still no answer. But this time she didn't run. I'm Jonas, he said gently. I'm the doctor here. She looked down at the pack in her arms. Her fingers gripped the blanket tightly. After a long silence, she spoke, barely a whisper. Not for me. Jonas leaned forward, she added. It's for my mother. She is sick. Can't move. Her voice was soft, rough, like she hadn't used it in days. Her basic language was simple, broken, but understandable. Jonas's heart tightened. Why didn't you bring her here? I can help, she shook her head quickly. She is afraid of you. Of humans, Jonas sighed. He had seen this before. Many aliens didn't trust humans after the war. Too much damage. Too many lies. What's your name? He asked. She hesitated. Sira. I want to help your mother. I can give medicine, food, maybe more. Sira took a step back. If I bring you, she may die. She thinks humans will take me. Jonas blinked. Take you? She nodded. To camps, to labs. Like others. Jonas clenched his fists. I would never do that. I don't know that, she said, staring at him. But you gave food, and you waited. He saw something in her eyes. Trust. Trying to grow like a small flame in the wind. Come with me, Jonas said quietly. You don't have to show me where she is. Just, let's talk more. Maybe tomorrow? Sira looked unsure. She hugged the food pack like it was her only treasure. Then she whispered, I will come again. But if you follow me, she will die. From fear. Jonas gave a small nod. I won't follow. Sira turned and walked away into the darkness. Jonas watched until she disappeared behind the tall fence. But deep inside, Jonas couldn't rest. He had seen too many patients die just because help came too late. And her mother sounded like she was close to that line. Jonas stared at the bench where the girl had stood. A thought formed in his mind, a dangerous one. What if I just knew where they were? To be ready? He went back inside the clinic. From a drawer, he pulled out a small tracker chip, just the size of a coin. Usually used to tag wild rescue animals or medkits. He turned it in his hand, thinking, just in case. He whispered. That night, before putting together the next food pack, Jonas carefully hid the tiny chip inside a pocket sewn into the blanket. He told himself it was for her safety. That if something went wrong, he could find her. Help her, but still, guilt pulled at his heart. Far away, Sira reached the old crash site where she and her mother hid. It was a broken alien ship buried half under the rocks. Inside, her mother lay weak and coughing. Sira placed the food beside her. He was kind again, she said softly. He said his name is Jonas, a doctor. Her mother's eyes opened slowly. One of them was metallic, glowing faint red. You shouldn't speak to humans. But he's not like the others, the mother sighed. You don't know that. Many smile. Before they hurt. Sira placed the blanket around her mother's shoulders. He gave this too. The mother touched it and paused. Warm, very warm. Sira smiled faintly. He said, if we need help, just ask. The mother closed her eyes. We cannot trust him. Sira sat down beside her, quiet. Her fingers touched the edge of the blanket. She didn't know that inside the warmth. A tiny light had turned on. Back at the clinic, Jonas stared at a blinking signal on his tablet screen. A soft red dot moved slowly across the map, heading deep into the no-man's zone. He whispered, so that's where you're hiding. But what he didn't know was, someone else had noticed the signal too, and they were already watching. Jonas waited until the sun dipped behind the hills and the clinic lights dimmed to night mode. He double-checked his tablet. The tiny red dot, the tracker hidden in the blanket, was still blinking. It hadn't moved much, but it was now far outside the safe zone, past the marked borders of the colony. Forbidden zone, the map read in bold yellow text. Access restricted, dangerous terrain, enter at your own risk. Jonas had heard stories about that place. Collapsed mining tunnels, poison gas pockets, dead machines from the old alien war. No one lived there, officially. He looked toward the clinic gate. It was quiet. No one would notice if he stepped out. He told himself it wasn't spying. It was protection, just to know where they were in case something happened. He couldn't sit back while a sick woman and a scared child hid in a rusty shell of a ship, so he geared up. A breathing mask, just in case. Portable med kit, scanner, flashlight, and a tracker link on his wristband. As the night grew colder, Jonas left the colony through a side path. No cameras, no alarms, just dust and silence. It took him nearly 2 hours to reach the blinking signal. The path grew rough, with sharp rocks and old broken-down machines scattered across the land like bones. Once great mining robots, now rusted and hollow. He passed a destroyed transport, half buried under alien moss. Finally, his tracker beeped louder. Signal strong. 50 meters ahead, Jonas moved slower now. He crouched low behind a ridge and peered over. There it was. A broken alien spacecraft crashed long ago and half covered by earth and vines. Smoke rose faintly from a pipe near the side. A soft orange light glowed from inside. Someone had made it home. He didn't move closer, not yet. He just watched. Then he saw her, Sira. She came out carrying a metal bucket, probably to fetch water or scrap. Her hood was off, and in the moonlight, Jonas saw her clearly for the first time. She looked no older than 15. Her hair was thin, silver blue. Her eyes glowed, but with a tired sadness. Her arms were still too thin. But she moved with care, quiet, gentle, as if the world outside might break if she stepped too hard. Suddenly, she stopped and turned. Jonas ducked behind the ridge. His heart pounded. Did she see me? After a minute, he peeked again. She had gone back inside. Jonas exhaled. He should leave now. He had found the location. He could return with supplies later, ask to help properly. But something pulled him forward. Carefully, he approached the ship. Each step slow, measured. He heard coughing inside, deep, heavy. The sound of someone struggling for breath. He reached the door and knocked lightly. Nothing. He knocked again, this time speaking softly. Sira. It's Jonas, I didn't follow you. I just needed to see if you were safe. The silence stretched. Then a voice came. Not Sira's. Older. Rough. You were warned. The door creaked open slightly. A pair of sharp red eyes stared at him. Sira's mother, she had metal plates on her cheek. Her skin was pale gray and wires ran down her neck into her chest. She looked like someone half alive, half machine. Jonas raised both hands. I'm not here to hurt you. You're a human, she said coldly. I'm a doctor, he replied. I want to help. Sira appeared beside her mother, eyes wide with fear and surprise. You said you wouldn't come. Jonas nodded. I'm sorry, but I had to make sure. You said she was dying. The mother tried to stand but fell into a fit of coughing. Sira caught her, tears filling her eyes. Jonas stepped closer. Let me at least look at her. I brought medicine. Sira looked at her mother. The old woman's eyes stared into Jonas's like a soldier sizing up an enemy. Then slowly she gave a single nod. Jonas moved quickly. He opened his medkit, scanned her vitals. The screen showed a dangerous reading. Toxic metal shards near the heart. Severe blood infection. No wonder she was weak. She needs a deep tissue removal surgery, Jonas said. This is old war damage. The infection's spreading. The mother coughed again. We don't need your help. Sira grabbed Jonas's sleeve. Please. If she dies, I have no one. Jonas looked into the girl's eyes. I won't let her die, he said. But outside, in the dark rocks beyond the ship, a small hidden drone hovered silently. Its lens zoomed in on the human and the alien girl. Far away, someone watched the feed with a wicked smile. So, the traitor is still alive, and now a human helps her? He tapped a button. A red light blinked. Send the bounty hunter. The air inside the wrecked alien ship felt heavy, filled with the smell of rust and damp metal. Jonas wiped the sweat from his forehead as his scanner blinked weakly. He could feel the low hum of old alien machinery around him, half alive, half dead. Sira's mother lay on a bed made from scrap metal and old cloth. Her breathing was shallow, her skin pale and trembling. Beside her, Sira held her mother's hand tightly, fear written all over her face. Jonas knelt down beside the bed. Her body is rejecting something. It's not just infection, he murmured. The scanner beeped. A faint image appeared, a sharp metallic fragment near the heart. Jonas looked up. She's dying because of this, he said softly. Something from the war is still inside her. The mother's eyes opened slowly. You talk like you know pain, human. But you don't. Her voice was low, filled with years of bitterness. Jonas sat back. Maybe not like yours, he admitted. But I've seen too much of it. She gave a weak, broken laugh. You think you can fix what your kind did? Jonas said nothing. He looked around the dim room, alien tech parts, ration wrappers, and medical herbs. They had tried to survive with nothing but scraps. Finally, he said quietly, "If I don't help you, you'll die in 2 nights. Maybe sooner." Sierra's mother turned her face away. "Better death than another human lie." Sierra's voice broke the silence. "Mama, please."
He helped me.
"He didn't hurt me. He just wants to help you now." The older woman's eyes softened for a brief second. She looked at her daughter's trembling hands, then back at Jonas. "You have 1 hour," she said finally, her voice fading. "Then you leave." Jonas nodded. He quickly unpacked his med kit. "I just need to stabilize her first." He began working, mixing antibiotics, checking pulse lines, and scanning her blood flow. His hands moved fast, steady, trained by years of crisis work. He didn't care what species she was. Pain was pain. Life was life. Sierra watched him, silent, her glowing eyes filled with hope for the first time. Minutes passed. The mother's breathing grew a little easier. Jonas smiled faintly. "Good. It's working." Then suddenly, a sharp beeping sound came from outside. Sierra froze. "That sound, it's not ours." Jonas looked toward the broken window. In the distance, a small red light flickered among the rocks. Then another. The mother's eyes widened. "No, they found us." "Who?" Jonas asked quickly. She tried to sit up but winced in pain. "The hunters. They never stopped searching for me." Jonas frowned. "Hunters?" The woman looked at him sharply. "You really don't know who I am, do you?" Jonas shook his head. "I was Commander Valira Thorn, leader of the Threxian Rebellion," she said weakly. "Your human armies called me the Shadow General. I led the last stand before your fleets burned our cities." Jonas froze. He had read that name in history files, the most wanted alien leader during the war. Supposedly dead for years, his voice came out slow. "You started the rebellion?" "I fought to protect my people," she said. "But in the end, they hunted us all." Sierra grabbed her mother's hand. "Please, stop talking. You'll make it worse." Jonas took a deep breath. "They'll kill both of you if they find you here." Valira looked at him coldly. "Then leave. Go back to your clean world." Jonas shook his head. "No, I started this. I'm not walking away." Sierra looked up at him, her eyes wide. "What will you do?" "Get you both out," Jonas said firmly. "Now." He rushed to the door, scanning outside. 2 red lights were closing in, drones, armed scouts. The hunters were near. He turned to Sierra. "Pack what you can. Quickly!" Sierra moved fast, grabbing blankets and her mother's medicine. Jonas loaded his laser tool, a weak mining cutter. It was all he had. A sharp voice echoed through the hills. "Valira Thorn. Come out or we burn the ship!" The mother's breathing quickened. "It's him. The bounty hunter." Jonas's heart pounded. He peeked through the crack. A tall armored figure stood outside, a weapon glowing red in his hand. His voice was metallic, his armor marked with the symbol of the Hunter Guild. Sierra whispered, "He's killed many like us." Jonas tightened his grip on the cutter. "Not today." He motioned for them to hide deeper in the wreck while he stepped toward the door. The bounty hunter's voice boomed again. "A human doctor and a rebel? What a sweet prize. Maybe I'll sell you both." Jonas stepped into the doorway, blocking his view of the others. "You want her, you'll have to go through me." The bounty hunter laughed. "You think your human badge means anything out here?" Jonas said nothing. His finger hovered over the trigger. The night filled with tension, 2 figures facing each other under the cold alien moon. The air thick with dust and fear. Then, a sudden explosion of light and sound. The bounty hunter fired first. Jonas dove aside as the blast tore through the ship's wall. Sparks rained down. Sierra screamed. Valira tried to stand but fell again. Jonas crawled to cover, heart pounding. His cutter was weak, but his will was not. He looked at the broken med kit beside him, grabbed a flash grenade from it and whispered, "You picked the wrong doctor to hunt." The grenade rolled across the dusty floor of the crashed ship, its tiny red light blinking fast. Jonas ducked behind the doorway and yelled, "Cover your eyes!" A second later, boom! A white flash burst through the air, blinding everything in sight. The bounty hunter staggered back, yelling in anger as his visor sparked and flickered. Jonas didn't wait. He leapt forward, swinging the mining cutter at the enemy's arm. Sparks flew as the blade scraped against armor. But the hunter recovered quickly. His metal hand grabbed Jonas by the collar and slammed him against the ship wall. Jonas groaned, his back aching. But he kept fighting. He punched the hunter's mask, kicked his legs, and finally slipped free, diving for cover behind a broken engine. The bounty hunter laughed. "You've got heart, Doctor. But you're not a soldier." Jonas clenched his jaw. "No, I'm something worse. I save lives." He activated the cutter again and slashed at a gas pipe behind the hunter. A hiss filled the air, then a burst of steam exploded, hitting the hunter's back. He roared and spun around, giving Jonas time to run. Inside the ship, Sira helped her mother crawl deeper into the hidden storage chamber below the floor. Her mother's breathing was fast and weak, but she managed to whisper, "Leave me. You must survive." Sira shook her head, tears running down her cheeks. "No, Mama, not again." Outside, the fight raged on. Jonas was bleeding now. His lip cut, his shoulder burned from a near miss. The bounty hunter was faster, stronger, trained to kill. But Jonas was clever and desperate. He used the terrain, kicking loose wires, ducking behind crates, throwing scrap metal to distract. Every second mattered. He had one last move. He opened a panel on his wrist device and tapped a code. It sent a ping to the clinic. Emergency distress signal activated. Far away, inside the colony, an old friend received the signal. Her name was Raya, a retired security pilot. She saw the message flash across her screen. "Jonas, urgent, outside perimeter. Hostile encounter." She didn't hesitate. Back at the crash site, Jonas was running out of time. The bounty hunter slammed him to the ground. "You could have walked away, Doctor. But now I'll deliver your body along with hers." Jonas spat dust and looked up, gasping. "You'll never touch her." Before the hunter could strike, a loud roaring sound filled the sky. A ship, a sleek hovercraft, zoomed overhead and blasted the ground near the hunter with a warning shot. The dirt exploded around him, forcing him back. From the ship's open ramp, Raya shouted, "Get in, Jonas!" The bounty hunter cursed and activated his cloak, disappearing into the shadows. Jonas didn't waste time. He limped inside the wreck and found Sira and her mother in the lower chamber. Sira stared at him with wide, terrified eyes. "You're alive?" He nodded, coughing. "Help is here." With Raya covering them from above, Jonas lifted the mother with Sira's help and rushed to the ship. The engines roared as they took off, dust flying everywhere. The bounty hunter fired a last shot but missed. His target was gone. Inside the ship, Jonas collapsed onto the floor, breathing hard. Raya handed him a water pack. "You're insane, you know that?" He laughed weakly. "That's what makes me a good doctor." Sira sat beside her mother, holding her hand. The older woman was slipping into sleep, her skin cold and damp. "She needs surgery," Jonas said. "Now." Raya nodded. "I already called the outpost. We'll land in 10 minutes. As the ship soared over the barren land, Sira looked at Jonas. Her voice was quiet, but strong. "You didn't have to save us. You risked everything." Jonas looked at her. His lip was bleeding, his hands shaking. But he smiled. "You came for food," he said. "But I saw your eyes. I saw love. And I knew. You weren't stealing. You were surviving." Sira wiped her tears and whispered, "You smell like home." Jonas blinked. Something about those words touched him deeper than he expected. Home. Maybe that's what this was all about. Not war, not species, but finding a reason to care. The emergency hovercraft landed at the hidden edge of Outpost 17, a secret backup clinic built far from the main colony. Few knew it existed. Even fewer ever used it. Jonas carried Valira in his arms, her body cold, her breath weak. Sira walked beside them, holding tightly to her mother's other hand. "Please," she whispered again and again. "Please don't die." Inside the outpost, the lights flickered to life, old, dusty, but still working. Machines beeped, scanners flashed, and the air filled with the smell of sterilized metal. Jonas gently laid Valira on the operation bed. Her skin was turning gray, her pulse nearly gone. "She's crashing," he muttered. "I need to operate now." Raya pulled supplies from the wall, moving fast. "You sure about this, Jonas? If the guild finds out you saved her, they'll call it treason." Jonas didn't look up. "I'm not saving a rebel. I'm saving a mother." He snapped on his gloves and turned to Sira. "You'll wait outside," he said. "No," she said, her voice shaking. "I want to stay." Jonas saw the fear in her eyes, the kind only someone who had already lost too much could carry. He gave a small nod. "Then stay quiet. Don't touch anything." Sira moved to the corner of the room and sat, her hands clutched together, eyes locked on her mother. Jonas took a deep breath. "Computer," he said. "Activate surgical interface. Full scan." A blue light passed over Valera's body. The screen showed the same result. Shrapnel lodged close to the heart, leaking toxins for years, now fully spreading through her blood. "She should have died long ago," Raya whispered. "She stayed alive for her daughter," Jonas replied, picking up the laser scalpel. "That's the only medicine she had." The operation began. Every movement had to be perfect. One wrong cut and Valera's heart would stop. Jonas removed layer after layer, draining infected blood, carefully shifting wires and old metal fused into her body. Sira didn't blink once. She saw her mother as a fighter, a leader. But here she looked small, fragile, mortal. Jonas worked for over an hour. Sweat dripped down his face. His fingers trembled once but didn't stop. Then, he found it. A sharp black piece of alien metal, barely the size of a coin, lodged deep inside tissue near the heart. "Got you," Jonas whispered. He used the extractor tool. The shard came loose with a spark and a faint beep from the scanner. Toxin levels dropping, heart rhythm stabilizing. She was going to live. Jonas sealed the wound with regeneration gel and collapsed onto the chair, breathing heavy. Sira rushed to her mother's side, tears falling. "She's okay?" she asked, voice shaking. Jonas nodded. "She'll sleep for a day or two. But yes, she'll live." Sira looked at him, like he was something more than a doctor, something close to a miracle. She stepped forward and did something Jonas didn't expect. She hugged him, tightly. Like she'd been holding that hug inside her for years. "You saved her life," she whispered. "And mine." Jonas gently patted her back. "You saved her too, Sira, you never gave up." Just then, Raya returned from outside. "Bad news," she said. "The bounty hunter escaped, but his signal was picked up. Others will come looking." Jonas stood up. "We have to move her again." "No," Raya said. "It's time to make a choice." "What choice?" "Expose her, or protect her forever," Raya said. "No more hiding halfway." Jonas looked at Valera, peaceful now. He looked at Sira, standing like a light in the dark. Then he made his decision. "She stays with me. Both of them." Sira blinked. "What?" "I'll register her under colony code. As my assistant." "No one asks questions when a doctor takes in orphans," Jonas said. "And your mother. She'll need time, but I'll find a way to keep her safe." "But you'll lose your job," Raya warned. Jonas nodded. "Then I'll start again. Somewhere else. Somewhere quiet." He looked at Sira. "You asked me why I helped. The truth is, when I saw your eyes, I didn't see an alien. I saw a child who still believed someone might help her." Sira wiped her tears and held out a small charm from her pocket, a tiny carved stone in the shape of a flower. "This was my father's," she said. "I want you to have it." Jonas held it in his hand and smiled. "Thank you," he said. "But you don't owe me anything." Sira looked at him gently. "It's not because I owe you. It's because you're family now." And somewhere in the shadows beyond satellites and search drones, the bounty hunter reported back. "Failed. But they're alive, and they're not hiding anymore." The response was cold. "Then destroy the doctor. And bring the girl." 3 days had passed. Sira's mother, Valera, now rested in a real bed. Soft sheets, clean air, quiet hum of medical machines. Her pale skin had color again. She could eat. She could speak. But Jonas knew peace wouldn't last. He stood at the window of his private clinic, staring out at the gray hills of the outer colony. A storm was coming, not in the sky, but in the silence. He could feel it. Raya walked in. "Surveillance shows a small ship heading this way," she said. "No ID, fast, military grade." Jonas didn't ask who. He already knew. "The guild sent someone else," he whispered. Sira stood nearby, gently brushing her mother's hair. When she heard those words, her hand stopped. "We can run again," she said. "No," Jonas replied. "You shouldn't live your whole life running." Valera slowly sat up, her voice calm but firm. "Then we fight." Jonas turned. "You're still healing." "I led a rebellion," she said with a weak smile. "I can hold a weapon if needed." Raya raised a hand. "No weapons." "Not this time." Jonas looked at her. "Then what?" Raya pulled out a small case. Inside was a chip, colony-level clearance. "Emergency override codes. This," she said, "will give you protection. But it comes with a price." "What kind?" Jonas asked. "You'll lose your license. You'll be marked. But they won't touch your patients again. Not if the council agrees she's under your care. Jonas stared at the chip. All his life he followed rules, saved people quietly, stayed out of politics. But now he was standing between an old enemy and a young girl who called him family. He picked up the chip. Do it. 1 hour later, the ship landed. A tall man stepped out. Dark armor, no mask. His eyes were sharp, cold. Behind him stood 2 soldiers. I am Agent Rulon of the Guild, he said. We have reports of a war criminal hiding here, and a traitor human protecting her. Jonas stepped forward alone. I'm Dr. Jonas Hale, he said. This is my clinic. No war criminals here, only patients. Rulon narrowed his eyes. Lying to a guild officer carries punishment. I'm not lying, Jonas said calmly. I filed a care protection order. It's backed by outpost authority. You touch her, you start a war. He handed over the chip. Rulon scanned it. His jaw clenched. This won't last forever, he said. The council will ask questions. Let them, Jonas replied. Until then, this place is under my protection. From the doorway, Sira stood, watching everything. She held something in her hands, a small pendant made from stone and string. It had the shape of a bird, her father's gift. She walked forward, her step steady. Rulon looked at her. You're the girl, Sira nodded. Yes, Rulon took a slow breath. You could have become powerful. With your bloodline, your mother's name. I don't need power, Sira said softly. I found something better. He frowned. And what's that? She looked up at Jonas. A real home. Rulon stared at them both, then turned sharply. Let's go. As the ship lifted off and disappeared into the clouds, Raya let out a long breath. You're insane, she said to Jonas. He smiled. So I've been told. Weeks later, the clinic changed. More alien families arrived, quietly, carefully. Jonas treated each one with care. No questions. No fear, Sira became his helper. She cleaned tools, organized herbs, even bandaged small wounds. Patients liked her smile. Her laugh. Valira, still weak, sat outside under the sun most days. She no longer wore armor. Just soft robes. She watched her daughter smile again, and in her eyes peace returned. One evening, Jonas found a small box outside his room. Inside was a necklace, half human, half alien metal. A gift beside it, a note in Sira's neat handwriting. You fed me when I was starving. You saved her when I had no hope. You risked your life when you didn't even know our names. You didn't do it for reward. You did it because you care. To me, you're not just a doctor. You're the one who made us family. Jonas sat down slowly, holding the necklace in his hand. For the first time in years, he let the tears come not from pain, but from something warmer, stronger, belonging.